think that was like super like important. I don't think they were. I think Melissa Brown mentioned Brown was and that might be more prevention because they also we had talked about it like did you mention that? Well, I'm gonna have a quick cigarette.
That makes sense.
All right, we have all of the council members. I will call the meeting to order at 5:28, 46 seconds. We will now start with the citizen comments. Citizens, you have 4 minutes to speak. Council, you have 1 minute allotted to respond, make a statement or explanation without engaging in a dialogue. Our first person is Michael Fornino. Killeen, you have 4 minutes.
RS 24-119 was too good to pass up. Buy the chemicals and, crying out loud, at the pools, at least have people there at the expectedly busy hours that are qualified to administer the chemicals and not just walk around basically saying, I don't know anything, I just work here. With regard to the police upgrade, I support this, as you should all. I would say when it comes up for a vote, upgrade their technology unanimously. However, it just occurred to me that it was just over 12 years ago, the first time I stood at this lectern when it was across the street, or up the street rather. This is only half the equation. Right? A failing of this council is you do not address crime. Okay? The police, there's too much Killeen and not enough police. This has been a central theme of mine and a passion of mine. I have not heard the council mention crime. The Crime Prevention Committee that I proposed became the Crime Solutions Committee, which evolved into a social experiment that assessed the #1 crime in Killeen as being runaway teenage girls. Really? We need more police, and we need you on the council, and in general, the community, to do whatever we can. This technology is great. Again, it's only half the equation. With Chief Lopez's wise leadership and everything else that goes along with that, you cannot implement a program if you don't have the people to implement it, monitor it, and use it. That is only half the equation. There was an article in the paper over the weekend where the crime blotter, as opposed to what's reported are two different things. Again, I don't hear, in 12 years, I can't recall any of you specifically mentioning crime concerns, or anything. That is far and away not the experience of the average citizen in Killeen. When Mr. Kilpatrick was still alive, he detailed me a very vital point, and this is going back a couple of years ago. And we have over 1,700 miles of road, probably even more than that, that was the figure that he gave me. That if we were to connect all the roads in Killeen, end to end, it would stretch from here to Portland to Oregon. Yeah, that's a lot of ground to cover. This technology can only do so much. I don't care if it's cameras, I don't care if it's drones, or whatever. We still need the men and women in uniform to actually personally be present to respond. We do not have the numbers. Technology will only take you so far. Too many times, in too many arenas, have many entities relied on push-button technology. You need the person there. So please, 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 please. This is going on a decade, and can't say, oh, that was the last council. That was the council before that. It's the same iteration of apathy when it comes to let's do what we can to recruit. And once again, we are the 19th largest city in Texas. We need to start acting like it. We can't take care of what we have right now. We need to plus up the numbers. I have volunteered, say, you want to have a recruiting drive. Wherever we need to go, we need to go to the fort, we need to go to the college, because unfortunately, you can't be hired as a police officer until you're 21. Whatever it takes, I'll sit at the table and say, please be part of the crusade, be part of the solution, not the problem. But we can't solve the problem without the men and women in uniform on the ground, willing to engage, and actually able to patrol neighborhoods, and not just do a holding pattern on main thoroughfares. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fernino. I do agree. We need more police officers, and Chief Lopez and his staff have done an excellent job at being at Fort Cavazos doing recruitment when they're doing the hiring fairs out there, KISD and other places that I have seen them. But I do agree that they are working hard to recruit police officers to work in Killeen. So I agree with you on that. Next we have Cameron Cocker. Who has
I write doctor on it every week, but I guess some people can't read. So let's continue. Let's talk about the meeting minutes, MN 24-016. Last week the mayor says transparency, we love transparency. She also said that no council member or herself have failed to respond to citizen emails, telephone calls, etc. You have a District 3 representative, without saying her name, she hasn't responded to 5 emails, and it's been about 3 weeks. She admits that she hadn't responded to it, and she laughs at it. It's funny that you want transparency, but you don't respond to basic emails. You don't even look at the minutes when people ask questions and put those answers in there either. Let's move on. RS 24-119, purchase of chemicals for the city pool. According to the city's own website, Long Branch Pool is closed. Junior Service League spray pad is closed. However, the newspaper said that this weekend the water was green at Junior Service League spray pad. Do we not have the chemicals, or do we have the chemicals? I don't know, but this is looking to purchase more chemicals from a different company. My question is, if we have swimming pools that are closed, why can't we just put chemicals in the back of a trailer or a van and move it to the next place that's not closed, that's open? Let's try to save some money for once, have some kind of strategic planning. This is July, and now we're trying to find out what kind of chemicals work in the swimming pools. That's sad, very sad. This should have been dealt with back in January, February. But again, this city has no strategic planning capabilities. Let's move on. RS 24-120, Stone Tree Bunker renovations. Last week I mentioned, well, you also approved $650,000 for the Stone Tree irrigation project. Well, this week you're seeking $815,389 and $7,500 to help with a bunker renovation so it doesn't fall apart. Why do we even have this golf course under the city? It needs to be sold. If it's making a profit, as I mentioned last week, it's supposed to make $175,000 profit, that's forecasted, for 2024. Sell it so we don't have to worry about it in 2025. That's crazy. My question on this as well is, why are the people paying monthly dues if those dues are not funding the repairs to this golf course? Why are we also Killeen taxpayers paying to fix a golf course that we have members that live in Harker Heights, Coppers Cove, and other nearby cities? Where's their fair share? I guess we're not going to see it. Let's move on. RS 24117, library materials. On the agenda is to purchase new library materials. The presentation of the PowerPoint, it failed to show any kind of materials or what it's using the money for. $132,000 is a lot of money. Is this for books, to access certain websites, new computers, licensing fees? Is it for some kind of training, custodial equipment, salaries? I don't know. Kind of vague since it doesn't include there. Can you at least tell us what this money is going to go for so the taxpayer knows what its money going in and what money is being used for? Also, this is for just fiscal year 2024. It's sort of like a last minute ad. How much money are they going to need in 2025? Or is this not needed in 2025? Again, it doesn't say within the PowerPoint slide. I wonder if the library has a Bible. If it did, it would say Proverbs 6.32, she who commits adultery lacks any sense. She who dares destroys herself as well as others. Thank you.
Thank you for your nice comments. Mr. Leo Gukheisen. Good evening, sir. You have minutes.
Mayor, I'd like to withdraw my request at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so kindly. Oh, I apologize, Councilwoman Cobb.
Thank you. Good evening to the council and constituents. I am District 3, Nina Cobb. Please know that when you send your questions, if you send them to multiple persons and they are answered, and the answer is a great answer, there is no need for me to respond. Work will win when wishing won't.
Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez.
Thank you. I just wanted to just make a statement. I do agree with the citizen regarding the addressing the crime and that we are actively working to recruit additional officers. We know the challenges we're having there, but there have been crime town halls that were held in District 1. Council members also formed a crime solutions committee to try to be proactive in a way for that. Certain members here are also advocating against domestic violence and human trafficking, and also supporting our first responders and nonprofit organizations who are actively fighting crime in their own respects. Also, the Downtown Merchants Association has been actively engaging with the police department, who's been helping them to protect their businesses as it relates to crime prevention there as well. And then also with the previous police administration, there was an engagement unit that was formed to help, starting off in the downtown area, bring more police presence back to the north side, and that was accomplished in the previous administration. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else before I move on? Melissa Brown. Good evening. You have 4 minutes.
Tell me you want to hear or you don't want to hear from the citizens without telling me you don't want to hear from the citizens. First, there's all that garbage that you passed last week. And now we've got the proposal for the establishment of the Charter Review Committee, which will consist of 9 positions. Each council member plus the mayor will appoint a person. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Where does the 9th person come from? That is not written in there. The committee is going to identify necessary amendments or revisions. When does the committee hear of the entire from anyone else in the public? Because the citizens are not going to have the opportunity to really address this in depth with the council. Members will be appointed based on a nomination process, and then they should have a background in law, government, business, or community service. Let me tell you, I know a lot of really smart people in the city who are very interested in making sure that it is prosperous and that it is the best place for the city, its residents, its visitors, and its staff who don't own a business, who don't have a legal background, who've never been involved in government, and don't go out and participate in a lot of public community service. But why is everybody else's voice shut out? So if you're not an important person in the community, let's replace it with that, because that is what this implies. If you don't hold a prominent title, if you don't sound like you're important, then your voice isn't going to be heard, because these are priorities. Or is that the only way to be smart enough? Because I know a lot of people who are not involved in city government who are smarter than some of the people sitting up in front of me right now. Let's move on. Reviewing the entire charter to assess the relevance and effectiveness. I don't have a problem with that. In fact, I think that is what should be done. And then they are responsible for conducting public meetings to solicit feedback. It doesn't say how, it doesn't say when, it doesn't say what rules will be followed, but you're outsourcing listening to your constituents. That is what it says. When you say that the committee is responsible for soliciting feedback from the public, you are now outsourcing your responsibility to listen to your constituents. Read what it says in writing and then put yourself in the position. Oh, also I'd like to know, what does nonpartisan and matters related to city governance mean? And by residents of Killeen, does that mean it's going to be only people who live within the city limits? Or like our bond committee, are we going to allow ETJ members to be on this committee? I would love to know the answers to that, and what does nonpartisan and matters related to city governance mean, because if that means if anybody is interested in what goes on, if they speak out about it, if they write letters to the editor, if they come up here and they speak to you, that would make them partisan, wouldn't it? So if you're active and you're interested and you know what's going on, you're disqualified. Tell me how that makes sense. It doesn't, but it doesn't surprise me. And then the IBCC update, I would hope that this is invited with open arms. And I would also hope that when you have this discussion, you ask them, what can the city do for IBCC? They have been bringing in more business than KABC on a regular basis, and they never get anything from the city. No incentives whatsoever. I said we need to restructure that, so maybe that should be part of what is done in our charter. Stop keeping it out of different chambers. Don't be racist about it.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez.
Thank you. During the previous discussion that we had, I just want to make sure for point of clarity that we did discuss possible potential options about opening up to citizen feedback for a 30-day period, similar to that program that Mr. Sean Smith was over, to be able to be fair and impartial and give our entire citizens an opportunity to engage in our process. That was mentioned during that last meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? For the record, as you all can see, for the individuals that is at home, this is an all-minority council, the first one in 400 years. And the Innovation Black Chamber of Commerce, most of the members are either a part of, we support all of their events. So there's virtually impossible, if you look to my left and right, for us to be racist.
Not true.
There's a difference between what the Killeen Chamber does and also the Innovation Black Chamber. The Killeen Chamber brings in jobs, and the innovation businesses to their Innovation Chamber does too, but also the businesses that we do have, they may reestablish or they may want to have a grand opening, been here for a while. They both have similar jobs, and we have never, ever, to my knowledge, or my term on here, have not listened to any chamber, and that includes the Hispanic chamber. And we're hoping that other chambers and different ethnicity open up in the city of Killeen, because we're a very diverse city, and we, the council, we welcome that. So anyone else have a comment before I move forward? Councilmember Adams.
I just want to clarify for folks, the definition of partisan is regarding political parties. So nonpartisan discussion is discussion that's not related to whatever political organization that you're a member of. It's just a general organization because this council is nonpartisan, so that's what that relates to. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And we will move on with Mr. Sean Price. Good evening, Mr. Price. You have 4 minutes.
Hey, Mayor, and City Council. We'll get this up here. Right. Just like to thank 3 men, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, and John Adams for bringing us the Declaration of Independence. Since it's that time of the year, right? Remember our founders, those that gave us the freedom that we so lovingly enjoy, right, as Americans. I rise underneath section 551.042 and section 551.007. So my comments are all underneath those color of law. RS 119, the pool chemicals, right? There are several companies you can get these. I used to transport them from Corsicana to Chicago. So this is an exorbitant amount for this type of stuff. 80,000 pounds, you can get it for about that same price, but that's, that's a lot of chemicals. I don't know why we're spending that much money or why we should have to. I think there's a $40,000 transfer payment that they already have, and I don't know why we've got the money to spend for the chemicals, why they're not being utilized, or why the funds aren't being spent to buy the product so that people can enjoy the pools that we pay for. RS 24-117, will any of these, out of the $132,000, will these buy the LGBTQ porno books for kindergarten through 5th grade student or kids? I'm opposed to that. I don't think that we should buy any of these types of books that are being utilized across the nation. I'm sure that everybody has seen it, that this is in our school systems out there and that they're buying it, and that the Department of Education says that this is education for teaching about all kinds of lifestyles in kindergarten through 5th grade. So I don't think it would be appropriate for Killeen to do the same thing that other cities are doing. RS 24-120, renovations of the golf course and or 121, the airfield, Skylark Airfield. I'm just wondering how many passengers come through there. Can anybody tell me that? How many passengers come through Skylark? I don't think we have any passengers come through there. I think it's a hobby field. I think that we've got a few Cessnas come through there, and people practice their pilot license maybe, but we don't make pilots. We don't do anything. It's a hobby field. This is not an airport. Just my thought on it. I think we should sell that, and the golf course should be sold off to whoever wants to operate it. We're losing a lot of money as a city. The charter review, if you want anybody on there, I'll put my hand up for it. I'll get on there. We'll do the charter review. We'll get through there and we'll make some stuff happen. You can count me in. Mrs. Gonzalez, I toss my hat in there for you as one of your constituents in your area. For the $13 million that we're going to spend for the police force, that's money well spent. I think we need the additional police. They got to have the backup now because 1 or 2 cops, they get swarmed by 30 or 40 people out of an apartment building. I see it quite often. So I like it when they come in deep and they got like 6 or 7 cars out there. They've got their support because people will just dive bomb, and it's crazy what these guys got to go through. So I'm on their side for that, for spending that money. Our DS 24, that's the 042, that's for the police. For the 24008 DQ or RQ, I'm just wondering. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Do council have any comments before we move forward? All right, thank you all for sharing your comments with the council. Madam Secretary, discuss items for regular city council meeting on July 9th, 2024, minutes.
Bill 24016, consider minutes of regular city council meeting of June 11th, 2024.
Thank you so much. Resolutions, council, you have 2 times each to speak for 5 minutes. Madam Secretary.
RS 24117, consider a memorandum resolution increasing the previously authorized spending limit for the purchase of library materials from Ingram Book Company from $90,000 to $132,785 for fiscal year 2024.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Ms. McNair, good evening, ma'am.
How are you?
Fine, and you?
Thank you, I'm fine. I have with me this evening Mrs. Deanna Frazee, the Director of Library Services.
Good evening, ma'am.
I'll go through the presentation, which is very brief. It will answer at least 2 of the questions, I believe, and then Mrs. Frazee will discuss again and refresh from our previous presentation the type of materials that the library purchases for the citizens. In December 2023, Council approved a TechSmart buy contract with Ingram Library Services for the purchase of library materials in an amount not to exceed $90,000. None of this money goes towards the cost of staffing the library. In May 2024, Library Service canceled a contract for $42,785 with Baker and Taylor due to poor fulfillment rates. The funds for leasing were then transferred to the appropriate account for purchase of library materials. Staff is recommending that the transfer funds be used to increase the TechSmart contract purchase limit in an amount not to exceed $132,785 for the purchase of additional library materials from Ingram Services. Increasing the purchase limit will allow the library to maintain state accreditation. I do want to note that this is not an additional $132,000, nor is it an increase to the budget. We're simply taking the money that we have from the canceled contract and increasing the spending limit on the remaining contract. So it conforms to City of Killeen purchasing policy. It is a recurring expense. The second question that I said will be answered in the presentation. For fiscal year 25, it's an estimated $115,000 for library materials. And so far, according to Mrs. Frazee, we spent approximately $68,000 with that first $90,000 that was set aside. And we recommend that council authorize the increase of the purchase limit with Ingram Library Services in an amount not to exceed $132,785.
Thank you.
Good evening. First, I'd like to start by defining library materials. Those are physical materials, books, DVDs, although we don't purchase a whole lot of those. It is primarily books. We no longer do audiobooks at all. Those are downloadable and comes from a different account. The library materials we purchase are based on collection development policies. We review a lot of materials. There are some review tools out there, Kirkus Reviews, New York Times Book Reviews, Boya, School Library Journal, and we read those looking for positive reviews. And to give us an idea, not every book is of interest to every community. I would not buy a book on sheep shearing, for example, for Killeen, because we don't really raise a lot of sheep or shear sheep here. However, we do look for books that will be of high interest. We also, I will say, we're not looking for books to sexualize young children. That is not an appropriate thing. We need books that, first off, they want to read. They would really rather read about the bears, having a picnic or something, and we want books that interest them, engage them with reading. So that's what we're looking for when we review books and when we read book reviews and when we select our materials. We also require that parents be with children under 8 and under when they are in the library. First off, because we can't be the children's parents. And second, because we need them to be engaged with their children's reading. So when a child checks a book out at our library with their parent or guardian, that should be something that the parent or guardian has looked at and also agreed with. We do buy a wide variety of books, and we do look at what the interest level is, but we want parents to be engaged, because we cannot be the parents of other people's children any more than we want other people acting as a parent of our children.
Thank you for that clarification. Is there any questions from the council? Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. Madam Secretary.
RS 24-118. Consider a memorandum resolution authorizing a contract amendment for the purchase of a transfer station crane from Waste Systems Equipment Incorporated in the amount of $5,316.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Reynolds.
Madam Mayor, City Council, this is a change order to the original document, amendment to the original document. Back in, the transfer station is operated with 2 cranes that help us to pack our trailers to maximum capacity. Over the years, we've used a crane from Built Right to do this. This year, we had a change in that. We had a better offer and a proven crane by other cities that we wanted to use, and it came in a much better rate for us. March 26, 2024, this body approved RS 24-0459, the purchase of this crane from Waste Systems Equipment, an amount not to exceed $310,556. After the site visit, once the bid was awarded to Waste Systems at the site visit, the Built Right crane is built with an internal soft start system, and it allows current to be slowly introduced into the system, so that 400 amps being wrapped in there as soon as you start the engine. So this crane does not have that, so it's going to cost us additional $5,000 to get that soft start added to this, so we don't blow breakers every time we start the crane. That's the purpose of it. These are the cranes. Even with the $5,000 additional, we're still coming in $73,000 less than the next closest bidder to the in the bidding process. And this item was budgeted for $400. When we originally did the CIP, we budgeted $436,135 for this project, and so we're still, even with this $5,000 change order, we're still $120,000 less than what we had budgeted for. So this is a budget item. And the recommendation that you authorize the increase of funding through amendment number 1 to include the soft start system with the purchase of the transfer station crane, and authorize the city manager or designee to execute amendment number 1 in an amount not to exceed $5,316 to Waste Systems Equipment for a total of $315,872. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. There are no questions for you. Council, our next speaker will be Assistant City Manager Wilson, and she has RS-24119, RS-24120. We'll start with RS-24119. Madam Secretary.
RS-24119. Consider a memorandum resolution purchasing aquatic chemicals through a by-board cooperative contract number 70123, Commercial Swim Aquatics, in an amount of $104,536.80.
Good evening, Council.
Good evening.
This agenda item is to purchase aquatic chemicals through Commercial Swim Aquatics. City of Killeen operates 3 commercial aquatic facilities: Family Aquatic Center, Long Branch Pool, and the Junior Service League Spray Park. All 3 open Memorial Day weekend until Labor Day weekend each year. Without adequate pool chemicals, the city aquatic facilities will have to close to protect the safety and well-being of patrons and city staff working at the facility. The last service agreement was approved by City Council in April of 2023 with Progressive Commercial. Progressive Commercial can no longer fulfill the city's needs for aquatic chemicals, therefore staff is requesting to purchase from Commercial Swim Aquatics through their by-board cooperative contract 701-23. Commercial Swim Aquatics will provide aquatic chemicals for the total annual estimated cost of $104,536.80, which is the same cost as Progressive Commercial. The city has recently worked with Commercial Swim Aquatics for aquatic projects. We've received excellent customer service, and they've been very responsive and quick to address our needs. The current amount committed for a chemical purchase as of May 14th of 2024 is $46,274.88. Of that committed amount, $40,000 was encumbered under a PO to Progressive Commercial. Upon approval of Commercial Swim Aquatics, this PO will be closed and remaining funds will be encumbered to Commercial Swim. Staff is recommending that the council approve the purchase of aquatic chemicals through the Byboard Cooperative 701-23 through Commercial Swim Aquatics in an amount of $104,536.80. This contract will start about August and will run through next August. So this does supply chemicals to all 3 facilities for about a year. Answer any questions?
Thank you, Assistant City Manager Ms. Wilson. I see no questions at this time. Thank you. Madam Secretary.
RS 24-120. Consider a memorandum resolution rejecting bids received for bid number 2438, Stone Tree Golf Club bunker renovations.
As the City Secretary said, this agenda item is rejecting bids received for bid 24-38 for the Stone Tree Golf Club bunker renovations. On May 6, 2024, 2 bids were received for the Stone Tree Golf bunker renovation project. Those bidders were Verdidity LLC and Greenscape 6. Those 2 bid amounts were almost $500,000 and $815,000. Both bids were over what was currently budgeted in the CIP project's construction account. We had about $173,000 for the total cost of the project. So we're suggesting that we reject these bids at this time. The state law and the bid document allows the governing body to reject all bids. Staff recommends that City Council reject the bids received for bid 24-38 for Stone Tree Golf Club bunker renovations.
Thank you, Assistant City Manager. Do you have a question, Mr. Ford? Councilmember Wood.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Pro Tem. Just one quick question. If the city determines to do this work in-house, how soon can we expect to start that work?
That's something that we've discussed with Troon. We'd like to use them. They currently operate our golf course, and we'd like to use them as kind of a consultant to see if this is something that we can complete in-house. We would try it with one bunker using staff and that consultant that would be contracted through Troon. So we're gonna see if we can do it fairly quickly.
Sure.
And then we'll follow up with council and let you know how it goes.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no additional questions, thank you. Ms. Wilson. Madam Secretary.
RS 24-121, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement with Harrison Roofing Company Incorporated for the hangar roof rehabilitation project at Skylark Field in the amount of $75,791.43.
Mr. Wilson, welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. First, let me say that Skylark Field absolutely is an airport. There's last month we had 1,932 takeoff and landing operations. There's 3 businesses that operate out of there. There are 66 airplanes based there. Anybody that knows anything about economic development or the livelihood of a community knows that a GA airport is very important. So Skylark Field is a very important part of this community. When businesses are looking to locate an industry or looking to locate to a city, one of the first things they look at is a GA airport. Not commercial airports, but GA to see if their private jets can be accommodated. Of those 1,932 in June, in fact, June was a low month, there was at least 20 or 25 of those that were either jets or twin-engine aircraft. Those are not hobby folks flying their private airplanes. So I just want to say that up front. The project that I'm briefing tonight is a hangar roof rehabilitation at Skylark Field. City Killeen owns 2 large commercial use hangars at Skylark Field Airport. These hangars are currently leased and occupied by active businesses that generate revenue for the airport. And by the way, the airport is self-sufficient, makes its own money, does not cost the city of Killeen a penny. Over the last several years, they began to develop roof issues, and despite frequent repairs by staff, they continue to deteriorate. We've now reached the point where we no longer effectively repair them in-house. They become a safety hazard to the tenants leasing them in aircraft that are stored in there. This project will consist of a full roof replacement of one of the hangars, which is approximately 35 years old, and the second hangar is in need of significant repairs. We solicited quotes through the Sourcewell Purchasing Cooperative and TIPS National Purchasing Cooperative, receiving quotes from Harrison Roofing Incorporated, R&L Global, and Roof Connect National Roofing Services. After a thorough review of each quote by the airport staff, Harrison Roofing was selected as preferred choice, offering the best value and being the lowest responsive and responsible bidder. Staff's recommendation is to award the contract to Harrison Roofing Incorporated through TIPS National Purchasing Cooperative Contract number 2902415 in the amount of $74,291.43. Staff recommends that the City Council approve the contract with Harrison Roofing through the TIPS National Cooperative Contract number 2092415 in the amount of $74,291.43, and recommends that the City Council authorize the city manager or his designee to execute all contract documents and any and all change orders within the amount set by state and local law, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. There are no questions, Madam Secretary.
RS 24122. Consider a memorandum resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with the Federal Aviation Administration for an airport improvement program grant for the Taxiway E relocation project at Killeen Regional Airport.
Yes, ma'am. Just a little bit of background. The portion of Taxiway E at the Killeen Regional Airport is in need of rehabilitation. Due to changes in the FAA's taxiway design standards, any rehabilitation of this taxiway now requires a relocation. The city applied for and received an FAA airport improvement grant in the amount of $407,903 on July 25th, 2023 to be used in the design phase of this project. Project included administration, surveying service, geotech services, design services, bidding services, and other engineering fees for the relocation of the taxiway. The FAA has now notified the city that we'll receive a grant for the construction phase of the project. The grant will include funding from the AIP, the FAA discretionary, and a community funding grant supported by Congressman Pfluger. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Congressman Pfluger and his staff for this support. The actual grant will not be issued until after the bid's been received and reviewed. The grant offer will then be based on the accepted bid amount. To comply with FAA timeline requirements for returning signed grant offers, staff's requesting City Council approve resolution authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the grant agreement and relocated documents pertaining to this grant. Grant will be funded 90% of the cost by the grant. The 10% match will come from the FAA Passenger Facility Charge Program application that was approved by the FAA on February 16, 2023, with absolutely no impact to the Aviation Operation Fund or fund balance, and absolutely no debt, no cost to the city. The recommendation is that the City Council approve a resolution authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute any and all required documents, including all amendments pertaining to the Federal Aviation's Airport Improvement Program grant for the Taxiway E relocation project at the Killeen Regional Airport. And do you have to answer any questions?
There are no questions for you, Madam Secretary.
RS 24123. Consider a memorandum resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with the Federal Aviation Administration for an airport improvement program grant for the Terminal Security Improvements Project at Killeen Regional Airport.
A little bit of background. Again, the city applied for and received the Federal Aviation FAA Airport Improvement Grant in the amount of $108,810 on April 25th, 2023 to be used for the design phase of this project. The project involves the replacing of our current airport security system, including CCTV cameras and the access control system and all associated hardware and software. The FAA has now notified the city that we'll receive an AIP grant for the construction phase of the project. The actual grant, again, will not be issued until after bids have been received and reviewed. The grant offer will then be based off whatever the accepted bid amount is. To comply with the FAA timeline requirements for returning signed grant offers, staff's requesting the City Council approve a resolution authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the grant agreement and all related documents pertaining to this grant offer. Be happy to answer any questions.
There are no questions, please. Madam Secretary.
RS 24-124, consider a memorandum resolution authorizing the city manager to sign an agreement with the Federal Aviation Administration for an airport improvement program grant for the terminal mechanical improvements project at Killeen Regional Airport.
The city applied for and received the Federal Aviation Administration grant in the amount of $267,322 on September 12th, 2023 to be used for the design of the terminal mechanical improvement projects at the airport. Project included administration, design services, venue service, and other engineer fees. The FAA has now notified the city that we will receive an AIP grant for the construction phase of the terminal mechanical improvement project. The actual grant will not be issued until bids received, and then the amount's been determined and the grant be offered based off the accepted bid amount. Construction phase comprised of various components, including the replacement of the original baggage claim carousels and associated belt system, upgrading the baggage belt control hardware and software, replacing the preconditioned air on board bridges 1 and 6, and replacement of our emergency generator. To comply with FAA timeline requirements for the returning the signed grant offer, staff requesting City Council approve a resolution authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the grant agreement and all related documents to this grant offer. The grant will fund 90% of the cost. 10% of the match will come from the FAA Passenger Facility Charge Program that was approved on February 16, 2023. Again, absolutely no impact to the Aviation Operation Fund or fund balance, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, sir. There are no questions. Thank you and your team for your hard work.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary.
RS 24-125, consider a memorandum resolution establishing a charter review committee.
Attorney Clemens.
Good evening,
Good
Council.
evening, ma'am.
Thank you. This is your charter review committee item. Just a little bit of background. On June 18th of this year, Council directed staff to proceed with the establishment of a charter review committee. The charter is the fundamental government document of a home rule city in Texas. The charter may not be changed more than every 2 years, and the charter was last amended May 2022. The charter is amended by popular vote at an election, and the council may establish a process to formulate the ballot issues, including establishing a review committee. So the proposal here, this goes through the summary of what the proposal is. There was a citizen comment earlier asking how this proposal, individual questions about how this proposal is set up. And at this point, the council, if you decide to go forward with the charter review committee, you are completely in control of this. So this isn't, at this point, it is just a proposal that you can decide how you want to set this up. But the proposal calls for the purpose and scope for the committee to conduct a thorough review of existing charter and identify necessary amendments and gather input from the community. Gathering input from the community could be done in a number of ways, but it does say gather input from the community. But there could be public hearings, there could be surveys, things that have already been mentioned, but there's various ways that could be done. Compositions called for 8 to 9 members. The mayor and each council member nominate 1 member. And it was noted earlier that obviously there are 7 council members and 1 mayor, so that would be 8 people if each of you nominated 1. If you wanted an odd number for 9, then the whole council could nominate and appoint an additional member. The qualifications in the proposal are that they're a background in law, government, business, or community service, and that they would be residents of Killeen. Again, something council could discuss further and make a determination on. And the timeline of reporting says that appointments shall be made within 30 days following approval of the proposal, and that the committee submits final report or recommendations to council within 6 months. On that, I would make a note, if you are looking at a May 2025 election, and I have a slide in here, and a couple slides that shows what that timeline would look like. 6 months with the committee, it would not work for a May election. I would likely recommend that the committee come back by the end of November to the full council, so that council would have it December and January to call the election, and by the end of January, early February, and those ballot measures could be finalized at that point. So the procedure for charter amendments is that you review the charter and prepare amendments, and then draft proposition language, because an amendment may not contain more than one subject. So you can't put, you don't put on the ballot the whole charter document and have red lines. What you do is issue by issue, there's a question for the electors to vote on. And so then you would call your special election by ordinance, publish legal notices, hold the election, and then council would order declaring the amendment is adopted and certify that amendment to the Secretary of State. The timeline for a May 2025 election is the last day to call that election will be February 14th. That's the absolute last day to call the election. Normally, the city calls elections end of January timeframe for the May election, and May 3rd, 2025 is the uniform election date. There are options: establish a charter review committee of citizens in accordance with the council member proposal, or not establish a charter review committee. And I'm here for any questions you have.
Are there any questions? Madam Secretary, can you do the next item?
Madam Mayor, I believe Councilmember Sagara
Oh, did you do it?
has a comment.
Yeah, can you see it?
Oh, it's not showing. Sorry about that.
My question is, and I know I've been through this several times, and as I mentioned earlier, I think it's important that staff be part of this. So out of those 8 members, are we including staff or not?
I would not recommend that staff, I mean, it's up to you, but I would not recommend that staff be actually on the committee, but staff would be involved, and that's what we've done in the past with committee or a full council review. Staff, including legal and other staff, I mean, there's various sections of the charter that are highly financed. There are different sections and those different departments when we're reviewing. If we're doing section by section, when we're reviewing those sections, the various staff that applies to would be asked to be involved in that process of the review.
And the reason is because I know that a few times that I've been through it, what happens a lot of times is we end up repeating that same process. And I know a lot of people may not be familiar. So for example, I know we've talked about term limits before. We talked about going from 2 years to 3 years, and we get so far, and then we discover something, and then the council ends up backing away from that because ultimately, you know, we heard the information from the staff, and we didn't like that, you know. And so if we had at least, and I don't know if we keep records of that or anything, of that information that we discuss, I think it would be a lot of help, because there's certain, you know, rules that apply behind everything. It's not just saying, you know, an example, oh, we want to go from 2 years to 3 years. And I know that was a big discussion we had. We went through it, and then we found out if you do that, you have to do runoff elections. And then when we discovered that, everybody said, no, we don't want to do that. And so if we had all that information ahead of time, then when we're doing this charter, we don't take it all the way through only to discover something that we weren't aware of. And so I think that's important. Like I say, I don't know if we have any records of all that discussion in the past, but it would be nice to have to save, because everybody that comes out is going to be from citizens new, and they're just going to be throwing things out there only for later on to be rejected, and then we're going to make them feel like, you know what, we did something and nothing happened, and it's because they didn't have all that information. So.
And I from our last review for the 22 election, I do have the records of what was discussed.
Thank you. If you would like to speak, please raise your hand. Councilmember Solomon.
Again, I'm still trying to understand why we would need to have this again. I know we just passed a little over 2 years in doing this, and if we do go through with this, we need to look at more than 2 years. I think we got an article earlier about, you know, I think Dallas does it like every 10 years. So I just think that this is so early to do this, and I just think that we need to be careful what we're doing with the charter. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilmember Adams, you brought this item before the council, and I already know when I speak it's going to be comments, but I just have to be true to myself when it comes to this. I have two concerns, and one of my concerns is that we have over 158,000 residents in Killeen. I look at the voting records, I look at the events that we hold, and I hear from council and other staff and everyone that put all their time and energy into any event that we hold. It's very important, I stated this before. The charter is like the Constitution of the United States of America. Whatever we decide as a council will have an effect, not only because I don't know if you're going to change, I don't know, that's just somebody throwing stuff out there. I'm not even sure if you're going to change how long you can serve on the council, which I disagree with that, because we don't want the same ideals, the same thoughts. That's the purpose of opening it up. You run for 12 years if you be so lucky as Councilmember Segarra and I to be elected as mayor, and you give that opportunity, set out a year and give the opportunity to other residents, since we're for the people and we want their input. So when you have over 158,000 people, and it's important to get their input, because I believe in that, and it's very hard to get them to participate in anything that we do. That's one of my concerns. If you're going to do it, we got to find a better way to do it, because it goes out on the water bill. Our city staff communication does a tremendous job in reference to putting it on Facebook, and also just sending it out through video. So if we're really going to do it and give the residents some say, we need to find a better way to market with what we have, and also avenues. And if we're going by the timeline, if we want it in May, it's just me throwing some thoughts out there. Take it, leave it, I really don't care, but it's just how I feel about it. We really need to start now. If it passed today, I'm getting this information out to let people know that there's a committee. And I know we're going to appoint them, but should we have some kind of process that if anybody would like to apply for it in our district or at large, that they have the opportunity to fill out something, or just go somewhere and say, I'm interested, these are my qualifications. That's just food for thought, just food for thought. And my last concern is it has to come back to the council. And one of my recommendations is, if we're going to take this time to reach out to our residents to get their input, why we just can't take their recommendation without a charter review committee and the council work on what they want? Because if I really want to see a change in the charter, I am going to take out the time, and I'm going to find out if I know about it, and I'm going to give my input. Because if it comes back to me, I agree with Councilmember Segarra, and I know the process and how long that it takes to do this. Because I heard someone say that the staff, they got to do it anyway, but the staff will be double tapped. They got to work with that committee coming in before they even present it to us. They're going to have to go through it. And then once they get to us, as Councilmember Segarra say, they got to go through it again. We're going to make all these changes. So for it or against it, I just really want us to think this through and have just not to do it just to be doing it, but have a way that we can market it, that all the residents, if possible, I'm not saying it's possible, they can have an input. And even with the Charter Review Committee, if it passed today, that all residents would like to apply for it, just not us just going to say, I want Susan or Barbara, that if they want to put in their application, talk about their qualifications, then you have more to choose from. I think that is a fair process, but that's just my opinion. You can raise your hand, it's not working.
The intent was...
Mayor Pro Tem was first. Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez.
So yes, ma'am, I do agree with that. And as I mentioned before, we've had many citizens who have presented their recommendations, or they've given us feedback. And I do think it's important to get that from those citizens that are interested in this review process. housekeeping purposes, it is important to review it and update it where it's needed. Again, I'm going to stand on the fact that I feel that the recommendation, according to the way Ms. Rashawn Smith runs that program, where there's a 30-day submission process with some specific parameters, that we receive that information and find some way to filter it out so that we can review. That opens it up to all citizens to be able to at least have an opportunity to submit, and then we can then review and make that decision. I do stand on that, because at least that way all citizens can be involved at that point. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, and I didn't mean it from the perspective to make the staff have to work more. If they want to go be District 1/Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez, if we want to be in connection with the community when it comes to them turning in their application or just sending you an email, that's something we should do and not put the burden on the staff to do it, because that'll keep us connected to our constituents, because that's who we're doing it for, not the staff to do our job for us. That's just my opinion. Councilmember
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think just like all the other committees where we pick individuals, we each have a vote, whether each district person has it would work. I think it would work the same way. And I think we all reach out to our constituents anyway, once we see if they're interested, or to tell people to apply. So I think that'll be covered. It should allay that concern that it's not getting. And I agree that if we approve this and start, and we do market it, tell people who are interested, or that the process is going on and to participate. And I don't think it stops us from receiving emails from our constituents to pass on to the committee. So I think there are I don't want to kill this because of what we perceive restrictions, because I don't think we have those. And that committee can come back and say no recommendations. That committee can come back and say wait until November, which, like the city attorney said, is still ultimately our decision as well.
Yes, sir. And I want to just address something you stated. If one citizen has to go through a process and fill it out, or whatever this council decide, all of them have to, because it's so much easier for me as a resident. I should be able to email my council member and tell them I want to be on it. Staff shouldn't have even play a part in this something, because once this vote is decided, this council decide that. And this committee is not an ongoing committee. I'm assuming you want an ad hoc committee. I'm trying to understand. Well, that word was never used. And we're gonna be transparent, just put it out there. And that means that it's gonna come to a point, if that is the case, and an ad hoc committee is for whatever that purpose is, and once that purpose is completed, they'll go away. So there's a difference between that and the subcommittee. If you want to be consistent with the subcommittee, that's fine too. And my last concern is this. I heard something tonight, this evening. I don't want to come across that the council is forming a committee, and the people that we select, they are the ones that's something that we really want to do. Instead of saying it from this dais, we'll allow them to say it for us, because it came across as if we was doing something wrong when it's our responsibility. And that I don't want to hear the word, well, since we formed this committee, this is what the committee wants. Because the bottom line is, even with a committee with 9 people, you have over 150,000 other people. And I just hope when it does come back to us, if this council approved this, that 9 individuals on the charter review is not going to decide, along with this council, the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years for the future of Killeen, even once we get it. I know y'all going to say, put it on the ballot. But I don't think that's fair. You got to go back again and make sure that everyone had a say, even if they was not on that charter review committee. With that being said, anybody else? All right. No, please let him go. I'll come back to you. Councilman Boyd.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd be remiss if I didn't say what's on my mind. I've always believed that the city needed to, or needs to, have a very robust discussion on this charter. Again, we are a growing city. At some point, we'll be at 175,000 and then 200,000 plus. We're at a place where, of course, the way the charter is written, it works for our city. At the end of the day, it works, it's operating, we're acting by it. But my question is it really what's best for our city moving forward? And I don't know all the dynamics to that, but I'm just curious to have a robust community discussion to see what broadly the community thinks about how the city is structured and how it can be improved for the future. So I don't have any specifics to add to it, but just in understanding growth and how things change over time and reviewing this chart, especially when I first came on the council, I think it's time for a very robust discussion. I appreciate that we started that process in 2021 when I first came on, but I just think it needs to be broader. There needs to be more broad discussion on this involving the community. I do think that the recommendations outlined by staff or the council members selecting an individual is great. And I do appreciate the qualifications behind it because we're dealing with city charter for government-related business. And so I think those things are appropriate, and hopefully we can move forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Boyle, for your transparent and your good points. And I'll come back to you, Councilman Solomon. Okay, that's Councilmember Cigar.
Thank you, Mayor. And just one last question. I know that the previous year, I think it was 2 years ago, we had to review it because there was certain things that had to be changed, language that had to be changed, and I think, I couldn't remember, it had to conform to, was it state law or something like that, if you remember?
I know one thing was regarding annexation, and so our annexation provisions were outdated at that time. I knew.
Yeah, and that's what got it started because these are, and this time, I don't think we have anything that's required from the state or anything, right?
I haven't done a thorough review yet, as we haven't started, but I don't have anything at this time that I would be recommending that I know of offhand that needs to be changed.
And the reason I bring that up is because I know that we've been trying to communicate with the state to figure out how we can fix, because I think there's a problem with our charter, and I know when we talk to the state, it's something that they may have to fix, and it had to do with, Proposition 8, when the city council turned it down, and originally, but it got in the ballot, and we had to put it in the ballot even though we were against it, and so we were trying to fix that thing, and so the confusion was that designated by the charter, or was that something that the state had, they require that?
You're talking about the initiative ordinance process that is set out by charter, and the city initiative ordinance process allows. There's no allowance for staff or council to make a determination that they believe something is a violation of another law, and so they wouldn't allow it to go to the electors, and there is case law on that as well.
So if something from the state was, we were going against the state?
I believe it would require state action on that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at, because I think that my point is that if the state does take action on it, because we've been lobbying them, and we start this charter process now, and then we can come back and change it, we couldn't be able to go back and make that amendment until 2 years from now.
That's correct. If you had an election in May 2025, you would have to wait another 2 years to have an election.
Yeah, because my concern is we're trying to lobby them to see if we can fix that, and then if it does happen, we'd have to wait until to change it. So, just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, sir. That was a good point. Councilmember Solomon.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To Mr. Councilmember Segarra's point, or let me just ask you, are you referring to where it would close the loophole of that? And so you're saying that we just need to wait on the results of what's happening right now?
Well, I always thought that there was a loophole in that needed to be closed, because our citizens sometimes don't understand that, and if you have an election and they vote in favor of someone, they don't understand why the council is not in favor of it. It's because we're required to put that in accordance to our charter in the state, to put that on the ballot, even though we're against it. And so we saw what happened not just through our city, but other cities. And so I think there is a loophole that if the state says that something is illegal and we know that, then we shouldn't put that on the ballot to confuse people, to say, you know what, we're going to put it on the ballot even though it's against state law, even though it went against the council. But whatever we put on the ballot should be passed. And I don't think that's right because it confuses people. And so that is the loophole that I think that we've been trying to lobby the state. We've got some receptive ears about that because of everything that's happened. And my concern is if it does change, and then we have to come back and change the charter. And my question was, we have to wait 2 years because we already, so like I say, 2 years ago, we had to do it because it was a state requirement. There are things that needed to be changed down there. This time there is really nothing, and so we're just changing it for our benefit as a council or a city. But when something does come through the pipeline, whether it's that or something else, then we have to go back and wait, you know, unless there's some kind of exception for that. I don't know if there is or not.
No, I know of no exception that would allow you to come back quicker with another charter revision earlier than 2 years.
Thank you, Councilmember Solomon and Councilmember Sagara. Thank you, Council, for being just sharing your concerns and your opinion with the staff and also with the residents. But I stand on what I said, and I guess you do too. It is not our responsibility to push the responsibility on changing the charter on anyone else. We, the council, because it's coming back, should make that decision. But I support next week, whatever the vote is, the majority. Madam Secretary, items of discussion at workshop. Council, you get 2 times each to speak for 5 minutes.
DS 24042, discuss contract with Axon Enterprise Incorporated for police technology upgrade.
Good evening, Chief Lopez.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council. Today we will discuss KPD proposal to transition to Axon, a leading provider of connected public safety technologies. In the field of law enforcement, the need for advanced technology to enhance public safety, department efficiency, and community trust has never been greater. As part of our commitment to maintaining the higher standards of service and accountability, KPD wants to take advantage of and integrate Axon's cutting-edge technology solutions and implement them into our daily operations. Axon's comprehensive suite of tools includes body-worn cameras, digital evidence management systems, and real-time data analytics. These innovations are designed to improve the effectiveness and transparency of KPD and foster stronger relationships with the community we serve. Throughout this presentation, we will explore the various components of Axon's technology, how they will be implemented, and the anticipated benefits for the department and the public. We will also address any questions and concerns regarding this transition. Here in the audience tonight, we have Mr. Danny Thalen from Axon to answer any technical questions, and Chief Donahue to answer any questions you may have to our previous body-worn camera systems. The Killeen Police Department is committed to enhancing law enforcement capabilities through advanced technologies that align with our operational needs and strategic goals. Driven by Killeen's dynamic urban growth and diverse community needs, our dedication to ensuring resident safety remains unwavering. Embracing innovative solutions such as body-worn cameras, taser devices, and digital evidence management systems is essential to fulfilling our mission effectively. This slide illustrates some of the gaps and limitations we currently have in KPD. I will provide examples in each bullet point. On the integration challenges, I have 3 points. The first point is complexity. Our current technology systems do not integrate well with each other, creating data silos. My second point is interoperability. Employees have to access several different systems to do their jobs. A good point I want to make this Saturday, our road patrol, who are day shift officers, and also had to sign into 5 different systems to do one task. My third point is IT support. The IT department spends a lot of time in our building maintaining our technology to ensure our systems are working correctly. The next bullet point is training requirements. Due to our various systems, training employees to use technology effectively isn't easy. The next bullet is cost consideration. Our current systems incur a lot of substantial maintenance costs in labor and materials for maintaining and updating old technology. Under the data management bullet, we have several issues. KPD, as the police department, produces tremendous amounts of data. Additionally, we are concerned with data quality to ensure that it's accurate, consistent, and reliable. And data storage issues are the biggest concerns due to the number of videos we have to maintain for an indefinite amount of time due to convictions and the appeals process. The next bullet point is a very important citizen's concern, and that is privacy and ethical behavior. As a city government and police department, we must safeguard sensitive information against breaches and unauthorized access. Additionally, proper audit procedures ensure that the technology is used ethically and respects civil liberties. Under the delayed response time bullets, there are several issues. Number one is that communication lags can hinder response times. Delays in information gathering can impact decision-making and
Chief
operation.
Lopez, hold on. If you have your phone on or video, please mute your phone because you're disrupting the meeting. Thank you. I apologize for
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
Continue.
Delays in information gathering can impact decision-making and operational efficiency. If we can receive accurate information during dispatch or when the employee is en route to the scene, we can improve response times and secure the correct resources to handle the scene. The most serious issue is our limited situational awareness. In law enforcement, the lack of real-time data and insights can affect situational awareness during incidents. Also, incomplete or outdated information can lead to poor decision-making by employees and supervisors. Under the insufficient evidence collection and storage bullet point, we have to ensure three things. First, data integrity is a priority for legal reasons. We must ensure that the collected evidence remains untampered and authentic. My second point is that we need a cloud-based storage solution for additional evidence to reduce the time it takes to handle it and reduce IT labor hours. And lastly, we need efficient systems for retrieving and managing evidence. My last point on this slide is difficulty in crime analysis and prevention. We currently lack advanced analytical tools to predict and prevent crimes effectively. We face challenges in correlating the data from multiple sources to identify crime patterns. This slide illustrates the benefits of switching to Axon. Let's discuss the streamlined evidence processing point. Axon technology will reduce employees' time in processing evidence, allow them to focus on other critical tasks. Faster evidence processing leads to quicker case resolutions, which enhances overall efficiency. Under enhanced data management, Axon offers improved data management capabilities, ensuring secure storage and easy access to crucial evidence. Efficient tax automation is a great reason to switch to Axon because it reduces manual workloads, allowing officers to focus on higher priority tasks. We will greatly enhance our real-time crime center capabilities by switching to Axon, since all our systems will be integrated into one ecosystem. We gain the ability to use real-time data analysis and threat identification. It improves situational awareness and enables employees to make more informed decisions based on up-to-date information. Axon auto-transcribe is a big time saver for employees. Axon automatically transcribes body camera footage, which saves employees significant time in report writing. It ensures accurate transcription of footage, which can be crucial for case documentation. Axon Evidence is a centralized digital evidence system that reduces the time employees spend handling digital evidence. It streamlines the evidence management process, making tracking and accessing evidence easier. Axon Respond is an employee safety component that allows real-time situational awareness and remote access to live feeds to an employee at the scene, which is something we don't have right now. Supervisors will have real-time situational awareness and remote access to live feeds. It enhances incident response times through better information and coordination. And lastly, community engagement. Axon strengthens community relations through transparent practices. Axon My 90 is an engagement tool designed to bridge the gap between law enforcement agencies and the communities they serve. It works by collecting feedback through confidential surveys. My 90 uses various types of surveys. For an example, after interacting with law enforcement, post-contact surveys will be sent automatically to community members, allowing for immediate feedback. Public surveys can be distributed via social media, websites, community events to gather broader community sentiment. And confidential employee surveys can be sent to employees to provide feedback on their work environment and well-being. The data collected from these surveys is anonymized and displayed through interactive dashboards, helping us quickly identify trends, receive positive feedback, and pinpoint areas of improvement. Engaging in a long-term contract with Axon can offer several benefits. Here are some of the potential advantages. First of all, it is a strategic investment. Axon offers a comprehensive package, and the investment covers hardware, software, accessories, training, support, equipment replacement, and warranties. More importantly, it ensures that KPD will have a complete law enforcement solution for the next 8 years. Axon's bundle solution enhances KPD's overall operational efficiency, and opting for the bundle solution saves the city approximately $3.1 million over the next 8 years. Lastly, long-term contracts come with locked-in pricing or pricing stability clauses. This can protect the organization from fluctuations in the market price or inflation, providing budget predictability over the contract duration. Now, when you look at the refresh schedule, and when we receive the equipment, when we get refreshed, new body cameras, new Axon docks, VR headsets, tasers, and other devices that's going to be part of the refresh schedule automatically, so we don't have to pay for these items when there's a new upgrade or a new system that comes out. That's automatically into the contract. The transition to Axon will streamline 9 of the 13 existing technology functions, resulting in a cost reduction valued at $773,000. The 9 items we can eliminate are current body-worn cameras, the servers we use to store the videos, the command center software to access the videos, automatic license plate reader software, internal affairs software, non-warranty repair costs, redaction software costs, vigilance software costs, and repair parts for our in-car camera systems. I want to take a second to explain the second bullet. Currently, KPD employees spend 22 hours per month doing things that Axon can automate. Examples are tagging body-worn camera videos, finding and tagging digital evidence, and writing reports. With 250 employees, that equates to about 5,500 hours per month. With Axon, we can cut that down to 6 hours per month, which is a 75% cut. The efficiency saved through Axon allows KPD to gain an additional 66,000 hours per year so that employees can respond to citizens' calls for assistance. Adopting Axon's comprehensive suite of law enforcement tools would improve KPD's operational efficiency, employee safety, and community engagement. Axon's advanced technology, including body-worn cameras, cloud-based evidence management, and real-time communication systems, will better equip our officers to manage the complexities of modern policing. Investing in Axon enhances transparency and accountability and builds public trust through improved documentation and access to vital data. Embracing this technology is a proactive measure toward creating a safer, more connected, and more effective police force dedicated to serving the Killeen community. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for that presentation, Chief. You did mention something that I think is wonderful, the feedback collection process. Just a question, where does that information go? Who will be responsible for collecting that data, and then what's the intended use for it once we receive it?
First of all, any data that Axon collects for us belongs to the city, Killeen, the police department, so that data is ours. That data is, Danny, do you want to help that question there? What's the second part of it?
Just who receives that information, so when you get the feedback, it's going to come to you directly?
Yes, ma'am, it comes to me through a dashboard and a report, and I can evaluate it on a weekly, monthly basis.
Perfect, thank you.
All right.
Chief, is it my understanding that this system will take the place of at least 9 officers, but at the time, with the information that you have, you're surveying more than one place if the members join in the community?
Are you talking about the FUSIS platform, the real-time crime center?
The real-time.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
On July 18th, we're going to roll out the information on the FUSIS platform. We're testing it right now. We have some cameras up that are live. We are working with some of our apartment complex to get them on a trial basis. But we plan to roll out in the second week of December, the whole platform.
My second part to that question, is there only one person that's going to man that center, or will it be more than one person that's manning all of these different places at one given time when you roll it out?
No, ma'am. It's going to be 3 supervisors and 2 call takers. It's going to be there 24 hours a day.
That's what I need to know.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, Chief. And we talked about this already, but I forgot to ask the question: are you able to add additional, like we add other intelligence information systems? Is that scalable to include it on that?
Are you talking about video or
Any other type of systems that you may use to do law enforcement, be it intelligence information systems or analytical systems or whatever?
Yes, through our Fuses platform, we're gonna have the ability to integrate, like say for example, if Bell County has Axon cameras or Copper Spoke has Axon cameras, we can all integrate our systems into one to share data and intelligence. If and you put me wrong thing. If Temple has Axon cameras and they have automatic license plate readers, so a stolen car that goes through Temple will automatically show up on our system too, so we have that real life information.
Yes, sir. Danny Thielen with Axon. Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, to answer you directly, sir, you'll be able to add really apartment complexes, stores, anything like that very simply through a simple black box that any business can then join to give information to the police department.
And additionally, if residents wanted to just register their cameras with us, and there's no fee, no cost to that, they can also do that too. Thank you, ma'am.
Council members' request for future agenda item. Council, you have 2 times to speak, each for 5 minutes. Madam Secretary.
RQ 24008, Innovation Black Chamber of Commerce Community Update.
Mayor Pro Tem Gonzalez.
Sure. This request is simply based on the need for our previous Killeen Chamber of Commerce has briefed our council. The Innovation Black Chamber has quite a few community projects and progress to provide us information on, as well as grocery store updates. So I do think it's important that we hear from this other chamber so that we can hear the works that they've done and what we've got in our pipeline for our community. I hope that we have your support.
Thank you, Council. This is a future agenda item. All in favor, yes. All opposed, no. It's not she has to request it. It's not a discussion item.
Mr. Jones, did you have something you wanted to say for the record? Thank you.
My question is he doing an update on the chamber now? Or?
No, sir. No, sir. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. So, no, sir. Can you, once this is approved, you can discuss the item.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you for catching that. Thank you. It's not a discussion item. It's just for the council to vote yes or no if they want it for a future agenda item. Thank you, Councilmember Segar, for catching that. All in favor, yes. All opposed, no. And they're just coming to bring an update like they have done before.
Was there a motion in a
A
second?
direction. Oh, God. Councilmember Adams. We go through this every time there's a future agenda item. Councilmember Adams.
Madam Mayor, was in a motion of direction to bring this at the next meeting for presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Councilmember Boyd.
No, second.
All right, any discussion to ask Mayor Pro Tem any questions about the item that's on the agenda, not going into a full discussion? If not, all in favor, yes. All opposed, no. Somebody, I'm sorry. This time I slow. So all in favor, yes. Well, they already started voting. Councilmember Segar. Thank you. Should be 7-0. Thank you all. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So Mayor, I move to adjourn.
Okay, we got a motion to adjourn by Councilmember Solomon, and I'm assuming you second that, Councilmember Adams. But in the future, please click on, because Councilmember Boyd, he did follow protocol, and I feel bad not being able to call him. All in favor, yes. All opposed, no. Yes, sir. Motion carries. Yes from Everest call? Okay, meeting adjourned. We will take a whenever you say it's ready, 5 to 7 minute break, and we'll come right back into our second meeting.